So we're going to continue on in our series, Secrets of Pesach. See how much we can get done today. The last time we struck a very unusual idea. What happens when there is shvichas zer levatala, which is spilling your seed? It happens on the man's side. So this is strictly a male phenomenon. There's a phenomenon that men do. What happens to women? What's got to do with women? Because men and women go together. Because if a man is spilling his seeds, he sort of like leaves his other half, his wife, his natural partner, out to dry. She doesn't have anything in her because the creative member of the two is the female part. And you see that in Kabbalah, everything points that way because the female is the family, female is the house, the female is the center, which we call the Akaras Abaya. She's the root of everything. So then again, the question is, what's this have to do with Adam Arishon? So we know that there was a problem. Adam Arishon fell. Now, I have a chart which I've been thinking about sending out. And this chart, on the left side, or the side right here, it shows, and I think I probably should send it out, but it's all in Hebrew. And it's a little bit difficult to understand. But these are different levels of the relationship of mankind to the world, let's say, before and after the chet, the sin of Adam Arishon. That is, when Adam and Rishon and Chava, they ate the apple, right? So whatever that apple was, there was a tremendous fall in the olamos. Now, most people don't really realize that Adam and Rishon, at the beginning, wasn't the person looked like us. In other words, he was a spiritual being. So if you look at the side over here, right here, these are the levels of Adam Arishon right before the sin. That is, it's on Friday night, because if he would have made it all the way to Shabbos, which is something that's brought different places in the Kavanas of Pesach, we would have been at a level like this. What is this level like compared to that? Well, we sunk all the way down here after the Chet. Now, I could put this out on the internet, and you could take a look at it, those of you who can understand Hebrew well, and you could get an idea of each one of these columns has different boxes, which represent 4 different boxes, which represent the olamos of Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya. And things changed as a result of it. It was a tremendous fall down to here. And what happened is that Adam Arishon became more physical. Originally wasn't physical because he was a part of a world that's spiritual. And so therefore, as a result of this, he wound up becoming totally physical. So we have to assume that this is really the idea that the Almighty had at the beginning, is that this was going to happen and that this physical world would come into being like this. So he wants to talk about Adam Arishon, what happened. It says, V'tam adavar yizbar l'cha mamash b'arno b'inyan Galas Mitzrayim. So in Galas Mitzrayim, we start to be able to see the effects of what happened as a result of the sin of Adam Arishon. So that we had to work v'odos osa hashivo, that we were enslaved, shasal l'bnei Yisrael b'chomer l'beinim, with physicality. Chomer and l'beinim means bricks. So it really made things more and more physical. Ma'an yano. So what was it all about? B'sham nizbar ki osam and the shamos me'am b'nei Yisrael. So now, think about this and listen to it carefully. Is that those neshamos of the Am Yisrael, shenishtaamduchu begalas Mitzrayim, who came down into Mitzrayim and were enslaved there, osam and nitzutza shal neshamos. These are actually sparks. In other words, aspects. It's hard to understand what he means by sparks. The sparks shayatzim Adam Arishon, that came out from Adam Arishon, but osam kal, for those 130 years, shana parish meishto. It was 130 years where he wasn't together with his wife. They were living separately. What we call it today, separation. We call it separation. During that period of time, he had shvichas zer levatala all the time. Now, if we understood the beginning idea is that there is Adam Rishon originally was a spiritual being, and then became more physical as a result of all of this, and as a result, that's where we are today, is that he took the life force that was in him and was destined to be formed into creative souls of tzaddikim in his wife Chava, that together they made an error, a terrible error, and as a result of that, he wound up with this sin called Shvichas Zerah L'Batola, where he wasted the opportunity to be able to mate and create, and instead he spilled it on the ground, and it was taken up by forces of the other side. This is what he says. He was unhappy, very upset, except with his wife. They were upset with each other, and as a result of that, they separated because of their sin. And so Adam Rishon separated from his wife. So he gave birth to demons, Beruchim, and evil spirits. Tipos carry, because as we described in the first lecture, is that because of these tipos that were taken, the spirit that was in him were taken from the force of the other side. The Isib in Pesach is Erevin. There's a whole thing over here in the Gemara. These drops that he spilled, they were the aspect of very, very high upper neshamos, ma'od, the kedushas. Remember, he's the incipients of all reality, of all the life that we understand of human life. So he said, so then what happened is that those nitzutzos, or those souls that were wandering now and had no place to go except into the demons and evil spirits, they were nisgagel, then they rolled b'dechila b'dor mabul. So they came into the generation of the flood. Tipos carried to Adam Rishon. So since they came from tipos that were spilled by Adam Rishon, so therefore they were wiped out. They were wiped out in boiling water, or in boiling whatever was the boiling that was going on in the flood. So therefore it says in regards to them, I'm going to wipe out, I'm going to rub out the man that I created. Ha'adam v'hei ha'yediyah. Now this word Adam, he doesn't say I'm going to wipe out man. He says ha'adam, the man. He puts a hey before. What's the idea of the hey? He says ha'adam shuhu yotzer kapav shalakodesh baruch hu. He is a person, as if to say he's a creation of the hands of Hashem. Because he said that's what I created him, specifically that. The Bishar b'nei Adam haregam ave v'imo shotvim b'yitzirasa, because everybody else, you and me, we had parents. We had to be born by parents, but that's not so by the case of Adam Rishon. The shlosha shotvim yesh ba'Adam. This is where we understand that there are three partners. There's us, our parents. There are parents and Hashem Yisbarach. As Adam Asher Barasi, but the man that I created, who Adam Rishon Bilvad, is this one person, Adam Rishon, the very first man. Ki Elohim Tipos Kari Shalo, because these we see are the drops of his forbidden spilled seed. V'osam koyam mocha berotchim, and so they were wiped up in boiling water, alavonam, because of that sin that originally happened. Shehishchisam called Basar as Darko La'aretz, and this is a quote from that time that they destroyed all the flesh as Darko in its way on the earth. In other words, they didn't create things properly, but instead they spilled their seeds and they were wild in their sexuality. Then after that there was a mabul, right? So wiped out all those seeds, because that's what it is, that they were in line for destruction. They were originally made in destructive way, that Adam Rishon destroyed his seed. So therefore the next generation that came along that had these nitzutzos, these sparks, these same sparks in them, they were also wiped out. Here's another one. So then there was a generation of the Tower of Babel, where everybody got scattered. The rose Hashem came down to look at the city, Ves Amigdal, the tower, Asher Bana B'nei Adam, that people created. Kara osam b'nei Adam, ha'adam. But here again, he calls them the children of man, the man that he created. Yehem banav mamish to Adam Rishon, because they, inside of themselves, the nature of their souls was that they were actually taken from Adam Rishon v'tipos kari shalom, and there were also little bits of kari. There were sparks of the spilled seed that he wasted. The Bir Rizal, so the Ri writes on this, the mistama kaven shene'enshu kavar v'dor hamavel. So since there was already a punishment where they were wiped out or rubbed out in the flood, the chen b'dor hafloga his chilo the histake ma'at. So they were already a little bit better, because the punishment for the first part of them being wasted and the wasting that they did, that was over. Now we're going to go a little bit better. Below mashchitim zaram that they weren't destroying their seed anymore. It was a different kind of sin that this generation of the tower made. The door hamalbul na'ansho al shehishchito zaram. So they were punished because they did the same thing that the source of their life was from Adam Rishon. They destroyed their seed. What happened was they started having intercourse with different species of animals. This particular kind of chet, which does in fact happen, was very similar, because they're really wasting their seed in the wrong place. But there was a rebellion against Hashem. And what was their sin? Theirs was a sin of denial. Ubira inyan the shorish hayisod hubadas. Now, this is what you have to understand. Remember that the phrase in the Torah that says that Adam knew his wife. Das. That's the concept of das. Ubira inyan the shorish hayisod hubadas. Now, you have to know the spheres a little bit, but the das of the yisod of the upper parts of finds itself coming into the lower parts of, just like it was coming in. So, like I'm a parts of, right? So it's like it was coming into me, and it rests in the neck area. That's where it goes, and that's called the place of the das. Shuha hasfira halyona bekavim soy. It's in the middle line. Now, we haven't discussed this, and it's difficult for me to go into too much of the Kabbalah of these things, because we haven't really learned about the lines. We really don't know the language of the Uri, how it is that we understand that Yisod rests in Das, but say it out. So that's what he says here. Uva hapogem b'Yisod pogem gam b'das. So there's the problem. What is Yisod? Yisod is the organ of reproduction. The male organ of reproduction. In this case, it's the male organ of reproduction we're talking about. And there's a flaw there, because it made a tremendous mistake of spilling the bounty that's inside of that organ. It threw it away. So here he says that, so therefore, if there's a pagam, a flaw, or a blockage in what should be coming into the das, then the das becomes flawed. So therefore it came to the sin which is called denial, because a person that we didn't create ourselves. As I used to have a friend who said, well, I'm not going to say what he used to say, but we didn't create ourselves. We have to understand that there's something that's kodem to us. There's something that came before us. And as a result of this leads us to realize that there is a creator, there's a creative power, there's a creative force. So therefore, when a person, his thinking is messed up, he doesn't think like this anymore, and he starts denying it. V'hu shorish pagama bris. This is also the shorish, the root, for the flaw that people have when they get involved in averos of a sexual kind. So this whole thing is brought in Shar Kavanos, Reish Drasha, Pesach. So this is all brought in Shar Kavanos. Now, if we have time, and we're getting closer to Pesach, and we may go into that a little bit, but each time that we go into this more deeply, then we're getting in more into the metaphors that are coming out of the 3 lines of the idea that from my body I can have an idea of what the spiritual world is looking like. So we do have 3 lines. We have a middle line, and that's the one he's talking about now. The little line concludes the brain, the the das, which is in the neck, going down to the yesod. That's all a line there. So the body itself is called Tiferes, and we have a phrase for this in Kabbalah. It's called Kadati, which means Keser, Das, Tiferes, and Yesod. So that's the middle line. When there's a flaw there, there's a flaw in the Das, it's also going to affect what's going on in the bris. So therefore, if a person doesn't think that there's anything, there's a God, if he doesn't realize Hashem Yisbarach exists, then what's to stop him from doing any kind of averas with his bris? So then after that, it was also rolled back, these nitzutzos, rolled into the pagam of the Dor Hasdom, which is the evil generation, v'chata v'kiblo onsham, and they sinned, and we know what happened to them. They were wiped out. So one of the books of the in the Zohar is called the Idra Rabbah, which really means the large room or the large chamber. The Chesed is Galia B'Pum Amma, so that they're at the opening of a person's bris. Let's try to also called Yesod. Then we have a phrase is that this Chesed pours out of that place. V'hu hatipa shalazivog shenimsheches mehachesed. So this is the secret. I'm just going to translate it with it. Now's not the time to really go into all of what this means, but it means that the tipos, the drops that come out for the purpose of reproduction that come out of there are chasadim, because what they actually do is they make it possible for reproduction, and that's the kindest thing that could possibly be, the creation of other tzaddikim. So therefore, they started making tremendous corruption in the different kinds of what we call yichudim or zivugim or mating, behem ki chesedhu, because those things are all chesed. They denied that there would be any chesed, because now they have a tremendous pagam in that middle line, v'dog. So you have to look at it over there. So then he says, "V'shuv nisgalgulu acher zebe bechinas and the shamas the bnei Yisrael shenista'avdu mitzrayim." So these same nitzutzos, these same sparks that were originally the sparks that were destined to reproduce mankind in a very high spiritual level, which were taken over by the forces of the other side, the Eishes Zenunim, the forces of seduction and taivas and all the bad things that we have that can lead us away from Hashem. Now all of the burden of that was mizgagel, it rolled down into those Jews who wind up in Mitzrayim. Now there's a lot more to be said about this, and we need more background, and I'm trying to figure what is the best way to get into that background, maybe just going forward like this. So v'lohoros al zeh shehema osam and the shamas, the tipos carried out of Marisha. And so to show you this and to point this out, that the Jewish people who developed in Mitzrayim, that were actually infested, or that's not the right word, they were inside, was designated within them sparks from the spilled seed of Adam Arishon. So corresponding, where we saw that the Dor Mabul, the generation of the flood, they were destroyed in water. So therefore, corresponding to that, you see how it goes on, that all of the children, the male children, they should be thrown into the river and drowned. But Tamuras Ma Shabano as Air as a Migdal, and the fact that we built that people built the Tower of Bavel, Bedor, which is called the Dor Hafloga, the door of the separation or the scattering. Nimrod the Lakfor Hashem, that they rebelled and they denied Hashem. So therefore, we became those souls, those sparks of neshamos became nishta'aved. They became enslaved in Mitzrayim. Livanos Mitzrayim, the cities of Pison and Ramses. So we're going to finish up now for today. B'kol zeh koyim mida keneged mida. So all of this is really a balance, one thing corresponding to the next. That somehow we had to make some kind of fixing in this, a tikkun in this part of the tikkun that the elevator wants to bring us to. What we're trying to do is get from the bottom, go to the top, and then go to the top, get the treasure, and bring it back down so that the world will enjoy all the bounty and the love that Hashem has to give us. So that for the ultimate idea is that all of these things were brought around so that little by little mankind can come to the ultimate tikkun. So that's going to be the shir for today. And we've shown how it is that this avon, this sin, which is called shvichas zerul levatala, how it is that it impacts the world, how it is that it feeds and gives succor to the forces of the other side, which are forces that only exist as a result of the kedusha that they can suck, and that's the world that they use the word yonik. It's not a particularly pleasant word in English, but it's actually what happens is that they can find a way to be able to suck off of the kedusha and build themselves up in a way of a lie. But those lies, we live in that world. That's the world that was created by the first man, Adam Rishon. So I hope you enjoyed this. The main thing is to enjoy, and we'll try to keep going. See you next time.